What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Mystic Hour with your boy Mystic Black and the man. That way.
The man is Jimmy Butler.
The man is Jimmy Butler. Yes, the man is Jimmy Butler. The men are the Heat.
The
men are the Heat. But the man is Bam Adebayo, man. What a beautiful block to end that game yesterday. I don't know if you guys saw that.
Yes,
for the basketball fans out there, this NBA playoffs has been absolutely absurd in the most amazing way. Got more games coming tomorrow with the Lakers taking on the Nuggets, which is going to be pretty good. Or no, that's Friday. Excuse me, on Friday. Yeah. But lots of good things that happened this week.
Catch a break.
I know, right? And to the Clippers fans out there, don't forget who the best team in California is, and that is the LA Lakers. But anyways, we had some great fights this past weekend. Angela Hill took on Michelle Waterson in the main event. It was a really good fight, back and forth. It went all 5 rounds, even though I think I predicted that it would end early because both of these ladies tend to go into split decisions. And what ends up happening in this fight? Another split decision. Nick, how do you feel about this fight?
I feel terrible for Angela Hill because I know that results haven't always gone her way when it comes to decision. But I can't necessarily be mad with the results. If you look at the numbers, maybe Hill got some more hits to the head on the karate hottie Michelle Waterson. But I still think that Michelle Waterson controlled this fight, which is why I wanted Angela Hill to actually not even let this get to the to decision. I wanted her to knock her out, maybe not so early on, but I don't know. I felt like maybe she was a bit reserved in this attack. At the same time, it was kind of hard to keep up with Michelle Waterson. She was coming in hot all of the rounds of that fight.
Absolutely. She was pushing forward a lot, and Angela Hill was counter-striking her as well. There was a combination of a lot of different things, but I feel that if Angela Hill doesn't want to have this issue anymore, and even Michelle Waterson, seriously, because she could have lost that fight easily, and Angela Hill outstruck her in 3 out of the 5 rounds, and completely with a significant strike, she outstruck her. And if you look at their faces with damage, so if you want to do both things, Michelle Waterson looked like she was in a horrible fight. Angela Hill looked like she just took a shower and just like, I just sweat. I was at the gym, but I'm doing fine. But Angela Hill needs to mix it up a little bit more, maybe getting some takedowns, maybe push her up against the fence, show some control, and get some more points to show that you are taking advantage of these rounds completely. Like at the end of a couple rounds, maybe she'll get a takedown. Jessica I is a good example of that. When she was fighting to a couple of split decisions, she ended up fighting, I forget her name. Oh my God, I can't say it off the top of my head, but she ends up starting to add takedowns to her game, and she was taking her down at the end of each round just to get those points. I saw Angela Hill the other day post her doing some jiu-jitsu on the floor, her doing a little bit of wrestling. So I feel like in the next up-and-coming fight, she's going to kind of try to mix it up more. And I feel like she can tweak out decisions or, maybe submit someone.
Yeah, that's what she's going to have to do, right? If you really want to eliminate any third party, you have to take matters into your own hands. That I know that's easier said than done. But, and this is to say, too, that, had the judges decided to go with Hill on this one, I wouldn't have been upset either. I felt like this was sort of a toss-up. I that's what I hate about decision making is that, it kind of sucks because, in retrospect, you look at it and you're like, well, Angela fought well, Michelle fought well. But, obviously they're going to look at the stats and they're going to look at, time control. Other than, obviously, physical appearance at the end of the fight, they're going to look at who controlled most of the time. Takedowns, this is another one of those situations where total strikes, significant strikes were pretty close as far as the amount, but then that one take down over 0 takedowns for Angela Hill, sometimes that's just enough to take you over the edge. And sometimes it goes the other way. Like I said, it's all about physical appearance. You mentioned that Angela Hill looked like she was doing just fine, whereas Michelle Waterson, she looked like she got the shit kicked out of her, but it wasn't necessarily the case.
And absolutely. And can you imagine if Angela Hill would have won these past couple fights? She would have been on a 6-fight winning streak right now in that division, but unfortunately, she ended up tweaking out that decision. I don't see Michelle Waterson really moving up too much after that because it was a very close fight.
Definitely.
But I think she stays where she is. Angela Hill stays in her position. And I don't know who they fight next. I can't really tell because that was such a weird dynamic nobody really looked dominant in that fight. So I guess they'll fight somebody within the range of where they are already. Maybe somebody below Angela Hill. Maybe Michelle Waterson fight somebody right above her, like a Claudia Gadelha who got her fight canceled. So maybe she could jump in there. But Michelle Waterson is not somebody that fights too frequently. She fights about like twice a year, so I don't see her coming back until next year. And I feel like she got beat up pretty bad, and her eye was a little swollen. So maybe she has a broken orbital. I'm not reporting anything, but you never know what could have happened in that fight. After that fight.
Well, I guess we'll see. I mean, Angela, I don't think she took too much damage. She really wanted to jump in now, especially like when you have sort of that you want to redeem yourself. I'm guessing she's going to jump at the next opportunity as soon as possible, or it's a possibility that she's still so emotionally distraught by once again having a decision go against her, and maybe she's going to take a break. I mean, I think she even said that, like, I'm going to have to start knocking these bitches out to get some wins or something. But it's just like, I mean, I kind of wish you had done that math before the fight. You know? Like, it's not like this isn't typical, like, oh, okay, who am I fighting? All right, this is what I have to do to win. You could just approach any fighter that way, you know? But like I said, Michelle gave her a hard time, and I think maybe that's what the judges saw in that.
Exactly. If you're going to talk about, like, I need to knock these girls out, you should have thought of that in all the other split decisions that you had. So not sure what Angela Hill needs to change within her game. Hopefully she'll find – I mean, I'm sure what it is just, finishing. But that's up to her to see what she can change for the next fight, and hopefully she makes those arrangements and maybe go somewhere and get some different kind of training. Not to say that Alliance MMA is bad, but, she can switch it up a little bit. But in the co-main event, Mike Rodriguez took on Ed Herman in a very controversial finish. In the second round, Mike Rodriguez hit Herman with a body shot, a knee to the body, knee to the stomach, and Ed goes down. The ref stops Mike from hitting him again and says, "Go to the back." He says, "Nuts," which was weird. You never think you'd hear that for a ref to say nuts, like you hit him in the nuts.
Yeah.
And if you look at the replay, the knee went straight to Herman's stomach. So the ref gave Herman 5 minutes to recover. He recovered after the 5 minutes, and then Rodriguez knocks him down again and basically TKOs him, and the ref never stops the fight and kind of gave Herman a chance. So they go to the third round. Herman takes him down and gets Rodriguez in a Kimura and ends up finishing the fight. Dana White still ended up giving Mike Rodriguez his win bonus because he felt that he won that fight in the second round. The ref make a mistake there?
I mean, obviously, I think it's, and I must say, I don't know when it's going to be, given that everything with COVID and everything, but the Oscars coming up, it only should nominate Herman for that performance, being hit below the belt. He really sold it. And you can see in the replay, of course, the referee, it's easier for us to criticize him because he's there in real time. He doesn't have replay or anything like that. But yeah, he definitely made the mistake. And then not only that, but just to like sort of not let the fight flow, like if you're going to stop it for good, like if it's that severe that you feel like it needs to be, that it needs to just end, go ahead. You have the power to and the authority to do that. But it was just a weird thing for me. It's like, what's going on here? It's kind of like, I suppose, like when you're watching football or soccer or basketball and you have like these review of the plays and it's for us, I suppose, like I said, it's blatantly obvious what happened or what didn't happen. So I don't want to discredit the referee completely, but it was just weird. And then the fact that Herman was able to come back from it and win, that's why I feel like that's why we're still talking about it today, I feel, because had Rodriguez come out and continued and won the fight, it wouldn't have been as big of an issue. But nonetheless, I'm glad that Dana White went ahead and gave Mike his purse and I guess sort of honored that. And that's something that I've always kind of appreciated about Dana White is that he's not always by the book type of mentality. Like he understands that everything's black and white. There are some gray areas, and I feel that for most of the time he tends to to correct those mistakes in a good way.
Yeah, and Dana White is not known for siding with referees ever. He's had a lot of issues in the past with like a Steve Mazzagati's, never really with Ferguson or Big John. Yeah, he mentioned him. He's just like, that was a worse than a Steve Mazzagatti mistake that he made there. And Steve Mazzagatti has made a lot of mistakes. He doesn't even ref anymore. That's how bad he got. And he just couldn't do it anymore and get that ridicule from Dana White. But it's good that he gave Rodriguez his win bonus. That's awesome of Dana White to do. He deserved that. But Mike Rodriguez wasn't he didn't have too much of a complaint after. He did a couple of interviews and he's like, you know what? If I was Herman, I'd sell it too. Because Herman clearly was out of that fight after he received that body shot. So he wasn't too upset about that. In that third round, Rodriguez lost that round clearly when he got submitted. So he didn't take himself out of that situation. So I understand that. But when it comes to the ref, they have to have some kind of instant replay to look at that. If the corner is saying something, maybe I don't think Dana White can jump in there because that'll be kind of conflicting with like the Nevada State Athletic Commission, I'm sure, because he's a promoter. But I feel like maybe the ref doctors outside should say something, or there's got to be some kind of outside person for when these things happen so they can replay it so these mistakes don't happen. Because now Rodriguez has a loss on his record, unfortunately, and it was controversial. And when you look at that, all you're going to see is a loss and not how it happened.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and then going back to what you mentioned about Rodriguez commenting about how Herman sold that and that he would have done the same. I mean, it's one of those things like don't hate the player, hate the game. When you get an opportunity as washed as it is, or as I guess you could say as phony as it is, I mean, you got to sell it, and that's kind of like what we've seen that evolve, like, with this whole flopping and other sports too, so unfortunately with sports, and I guess more, obviously education about severe injuries and stuff like that. Obviously sports have gotten softer throughout the decades, and you got to take advantage of that, even in the toughest sport, which is mixed martial arts.
Absolutely. And I hope to see Rodriguez get somebody ranked in the top 15 of that light heavyweight division. Herman is now on a 3-fight win streak, and Herman has been fighting since The Ultimate Fighter 2. So he's 14 years in on a 3-fight win streak. So that's good for him too. Can't take that away from him. And we'll see what happens next with these two. Maybe a rematch down the road. Maybe Dana White will give him that rematch, and we'll see what happens. But hopefully we'll see in that light heavyweight division. There's just so much going on there, especially with John Jones not being there. So there's a lot of space, and we'll see what happens next. This weekend, we have one of the biggest cards of the year. I think it is the best non-pay-per-view card that is for free on ESPN for everybody to watch. We have the main event in Tyron Woodley versus Colby Covington, a fight that probably should have happened 2 years ago, but it is happening this weekend, of course, during this quarantine time period. You think that would be the headline of a pay-per-view for a title? It's not, unfortunately, because Tyron Woodley is no longer the champion. Colby Covington is no longer the interim champion, but there is so much animosity behind this fight.
There is. This is going to be a juicy one, to say the least. I think it's going to be, I mean, obviously you have that tension there. You have that rivalry. These guys don't like each other on a fighter level, on an opponent level, even, dare I say, even on a political level. Like, so, like that, and especially in the year that we're in, that kind of tension runs deep. So it's definitely going to be exciting. I really feel, though, that this is a must win. And I mean, like, the most of must wins for Tyron Woodley, because if he doesn't win this, I mean, what's going to happen? It's just like you can only give somebody so many chances. And I'm concerned that if he doesn't win this, that he's going to be, perhaps downgraded to fighting some of the lower guys in those rankings. And I don't know if he'll ever get an opportunity after this, especially at 38. Even though it's young, for most of us, I mean, there's so much talent in that weight division that you can't really be holding people back to continue giving this guy opportunities. Absolutely.
And he's not getting any younger. That father time is starting to hit him a little bit. Tyron Woodley has lost his past 2 fights. He's lost all rounds of the last 2 fights, which is unheard of. That you never think a fighter like Tyron Woodley would lose that amount of rounds consecutively. Not to say it wasn't to 2 great fighters who will be fighting for the welterweight title in December, Gilbert Burns and Kamaru Usman, but Woodley has not looked like himself. He's been holding back. He's never really throwing those hands. He's not letting those hands go, and it's definitely showing in his fights. Colby Covington, on the other hand, has only lost 1 fight. He's only lost 1 fight in his past 8 fights. He's only lost 1, and that was to the current champion, Kamaru Usman. He was TKO'd by him last year in the 5th round.
And in the 5th round, I might add.
In the 5th round, in the 5th round, to a fight that he was actually winning on the judges' scorecard. So if that fight would have went to the end, Colby Covington would have been champion right now. So Tyron Woodley and Colby Covington had an ongoing feud 2 years ago. Colby Covington said Tyron Woodley, he beat him up in training. Tyron Woodley said he took Colby Covington down so many times that Colby Covington got so mad, screaming, and left the room because they both trained in Florida at American Top Team. Colby Covington is no longer training at American Top Team, and he is now at MMA Masters, which is a rival school of American Top Team. And Tyron Woodley has pulled something out of his pocket and has Jorge Masvidal training with him, and they've been training together for the past 4 weeks, which is very, very interesting to add and to stir the bucket with. Can you imagine seeing Jorge Masvidal come out and corner Tyron Woodley against Colby Covington?
Holy shit!
That would be
that would be
absolutely
neat.
crazy.
I mean, I was gonna say like that'd be cool to see him in the crowd, although there is no crowd. But I mean, if he came and cornered him, I mean, talk about adding the cherry on top of the sundae.
Ooh,
I mean, that would be
about drama.
I would absolutely love that. I think that needs to happen. Now that you put that out there in the universe, I think it needs to happen because I mean, this is going to be entertaining enough as it is already. And why not get somebody like Masvidal in his corner? Who knows? Maybe Masvidal. This might turn into like a WWE match where they tag teams. And he jumps in there and he starts fighting Colby. So, I mean, obviously we're not going to get into such ridiculousness, but still, like, I mean, that would be a nice touch, to definitely have Jorge in Woodley's corner.
Yeah, that would be crazy. We're gonna see what Woodley is made of in this fight, and if he can still compete with the top 5 of the welterweight division. And just like you said, if he doesn't win this fight, we're gonna see him fighting people either lower in the weight class or. To be honest, if Tyron Woodley does not win this fight, I see him retiring, maybe going into acting and just straight coaching, because who wants to keep fighting and taking those losses like that to the guys that are up there? He's not one of those fighters who's going to want to work his way back up again to get to a title shot. He'd fall pretty far down if he doesn't win this fight. But if he wins this fight, he's back at number 2 in the welterweight division, and he could fight for that title right after Gilbert Burns and Kamaru Usman fight. Or maybe they'll set up a fight between him and Jorge Masvidal, even though they've been training together. But still, at the same time, we got to see who's going to fight the champion next. And those are the guys that are in that top 4 and the top 5 within that welterweight division. And I just want to see if Tyron Woodley is going to let his hands go and not back up anymore like he was in his past 2 fights.
I think he has no choice. He has no choice. He really doesn't. I mean, he has to win here. He really does. Like you said, it's either – for me, it's boom or bust. I think he either wins or, like you said, just retire. Get more into your TMZ, get into more of your acting or whatever side projects. Obviously, you've been a great fighter. You've been a champion, I think, how many times? 5 times?
He's defending his belt 3 times, I believe.
3 times. Oh, okay. I thought it was more than that.
Wonder Boy twice, and then I forget again, Darren Till.
Yeah, that's right. Kobe was the interim champ.
Yeah,
during his injury. Yeah, no, I think that yeah, man, he needs to definitely throw those hands, and I think he's going to be motivated, obviously, because I feel like this is going to be one of those situations. Your back's against the wall, you don't know what's going to happen, and you know that this is going to be perhaps your last opportunity. So he definitely has to come out. That being said, though, do you have any prediction yet or no?
My prediction for this fight. Oh my God. Oh, before we even go into the prediction thing, just like you said, the political thing is going to be
the tension.
Something to talk about. It's going to be tension. There's going to be a press conference tomorrow, and I'm sure Colby Covington's going to come with his "Make America Again"
with his whole MAGA outfit.
And maybe Tyron Woodley comes out with a Black Lives Matter thing, and that becomes a whole that makes the tension worse. But Tyron Woodley spoke about him fighting for himself and just not making that a thing because it's going to make him fight too over emotionally. Do I believe him when he says that? No, not a chance. I feel like if Tyron Woodley knocks out Colby Covington, he's going to say something crazy. If Colby Covington beats Tyron Woodley, he's going to say something crazy, controversial, of course, because this is the character that Colby Covington plays. I don't know if he's like that in real life. I don't think so, but it works for him. People want to watch him. People have their eyes when he fights as well. But prediction-wise, I am going to go. Oh my God, this hurts me. No, I think Tyron Woodley is. He's gonna find.
Emotional.
He's gonna find.
Emotional.
He's gonna find that fire in him. He's gonna fight like the fight is only 2 rounds, and he's gonna throw those hands off the bat. He's going to throw his hands off the bat. Colby Covington does not hit hard enough for Tyron Woodley to be afraid to throw his hands. Gilbert Burns hits hard. Usman hits hard. Colby Covington has never proven to hit hard. Has knocked out nobody. So I don't see Tyron Woodley getting scared, and I think he's going to push forward and not backwards for the first time in a long time from when he fought Robbie Lawler, and he just went directly at him. And I feel like that fire that Jorge Masvidal gave him throughout the camp. I don't know if you watch some of the Champ Camp videos. It's going to be a whole different ball game. I'm going Tyron Woodley, 3rd round KO.
That's a bold move, man. And you know what? What's so funny is that I getting into UFC when I did. Tyron Woodley has always been one of my favorite fighters. I think he's an incredible fighter, and I got into it like pretty much when he was in his prime. And my heart wants to go with Woodley, but my brain is telling me that Covington is going to win this fight. And I think the reason why is because he knows that he nearly beat Usman. He's, like you said, he had him beat on the scorecard before he got TKO'd, and I think that he doesn't want any momentum slip. He wants to continue this, and I think not only that, but he's just that naturally talented. Where I feel that Woodley might be, like I said, on the decline. I just think that Covington was pretty convincing for me against Kamaru Usman. Now, granted, of course, Usman not his best performances his last two fights, but nonetheless, like I'd like to see Colby win this one just because I think that he's still climbing, whereas Tyron Woodley, I feel he really doesn't have anything to prove, so all emotion detached. I definitely would. That's what I think is going to happen, and I suppose I don't know if I would like to see it, but I wouldn't mind seeing it either.
So you're saying I'm being emotional?
No, I'm just saying that, like, I don't want to be emotional. I mean, I got emotional with Jorge Masvidal and Kamaru Usman.
You are 100% correct when you say that. 100%. I'm emotionally picking Tyron Woodley. I feel like
emotionally invested.
I'm emotionally invested.
It's hard not to be emotionally invested, right? I mean, like we said, like they're fighting, even though I think it would be irresponsible for these guys to sort of have this political rivalry sort of be a factor in this fight. Because I think that's when people really lose. When they get an external factor and they bring it into the fight, that's when they lose focus. Your judgment gets clouded and it really fucks with your game. So I think what they need to do is stay focused on the opponent rather than, I suppose, the history, the political beef between them, the being old teammates and everything like that. I think that they need to move past that and just look at where they are right now, right? If I'm Colby, I'm looking at Tyron Woodley thinking like, okay, this guy's got to be desperate for a win. And these are his weaknesses that he showed in the last two fights, and that's what I'm going to attack. And if I'm Woodley, I'm going to think not so much about the pressure that's on him, but I'm going to look at Colby and say like, okay, what has he been doing well at? Well, I should be watching out for that. And I'm going to keep my eye out for that. And I'm also going to see whatever weaknesses I could find, and I'm going to take advantage of it. Remove all the excess stuff, as entertaining as it is. Just get in there and focus on the fighter, not the history.
Yeah, and Colby Covington is very good at that. And as much as he talks before fights, when he gets in that cage, it's all business. He's literally all business. Even before he fought Robbie Lawler, I thought Robbie Lawler was going to take care of him. Colby Covington worked him and had the most significant strikes in a UFC fight ever. So I can definitely give him credit there. He is more on the rise than Tyron Woodley. I would like to see Colby Covington take on Usman Part 2. I feel like that'd be more of a competitive fight compared to Woodley, but it doesn't take away from my pick. I'm still sticking with Tyron Woodley to get that third round KO and knock him out. So we'll see what happens there. In the co-main event of that, do you have one more thing you want to say? You want to add?
Well, I was just going to say, if we're going to get all emotional, I was going to say, I don't think that Usman is going to get that rematch with Colby because he's going to lose to Gilbert Burns, and then Colby's going to be the one to fight for the title.
We're not there yet. We're not there yet. December. That's a hot take right there. That's a hot take. We'll see what happens.
You're ready to hear first.
Yeah. In the co-main event, Donald Cerrone is going to be taking on Nico Price in the welterweight division. This is not any ranked fight. They're both not ranked right now. Cerrone has been ranked in the welterweight division as far as 5. Nico Price has never got to really taste the rankings there, but this would be definitely a step forward and a good big name for him to beat. Donald Cerrone's last fight was against Anthony Pettis, to a fight where I feel like Donald Cerrone won. A lot of people felt like he won. Unfortunately, that put him on the first three fight skid of his career. And this is going to be a very interesting one because you got a guy who's powerful like Nico Price, who has knocked out people from his back, throwing kicks. And Donald Cerrone is a guy who's very good, elusive with his striking, throws beautiful combos, loves a good war. And I think this is going to be fight of the night.
Yeah, you know what? I can actually see that too. And I think that Cerrone's actually, I guess this is the early prediction, I think Cerrone's going to take this one because, I mean, I felt that he actually did win that fight against Pettis. Like you said, he doesn't have any, at least in that last fight, he didn't show any signs of slowing down. He doesn't look any, he doesn't look rusted whatsoever. And I'm sure he's going to be wanting to come and seek out some vindication for that result last time because he lost his last 3 fights before that one too. But you also got to think, who did he fight? He fought McGregor, he fought Gaethje, and then he fought Ferguson before that. So obviously he's due for a win. And if you look at it, actually, sometimes when you fight somebody as great as the three names that I mentioned prior to Pettis, and even Pettis obviously has a tremendous pedigree in this promotion. But when you lose to guys like that, it's not necessarily always a loss because you always got to look at who you lost to. Whereas I feel like Nico Price, he's beaten some guys and he's lost to some guys, but like I feel it's nobody as major as the guys that Cerrone has fought. So I think Cerrone's going to come out here. I think he's going to win. I think he has the mentality to go out there and win. And I think perhaps maybe he retires because I don't see him retiring before I think he needs to retire with a win. And I think that's exactly what he's looking for. And I think that's why he's still in it. And if he doesn't retire, I'm game for that too. I'm always on to watch Cowboy.
Absolutely. And I made a mistake there. He's not on a 3-fight losing streak. He's on a 4-fight losing streak. Because
it really is 3 fights.
Yeah, it's really 3.
Really
I feel like he won the last. Yeah, I thought he won the last one, so I'm going to give him that. We're just going to say 3. But Cerrone has a long career. He has the most fights in UFC history with Jim Miller. Him and Jim Miller are tied with 35 fights between Zuffa and the UFC, which is crazy and absurd. He's fought the who's who's. He's fought the Conor McGregors. He's fought for a title twice. This is definitely going to be a fight to see where he is in his career. If he can't beat a Nico Price, there's not really much left for him to do within that division or even a lightweight division, because I know he doesn't want to cut to that weight again. It's very brutal. He's getting only older. Donald Cerrone's 37 years old now? He's getting up 38 years old. He's getting up there in age. Let's see. 37, he's 37, 30, it doesn't matter.
Okay, and sorry, Cowboy.
And he just had another child too, so now he has 2 kids. And Cowboy is a guy who loves to enjoy life. He's always on the boat. He's always on his motorcycle, building things in his ranch. And there's a lot of things he can do.
Planes.
Yeah, jumping off planes. So there's a lot of things that he can do besides fighting, and I'm sure he can stay busy enough. If he wins his fight, I feel like he might. Yeah, he'll definitely take another fight because he just has that in him. He has that dog in him, and he'll probably take another fight the next month or the week after. So I wouldn't be surprised. But this is definitely, I feel, is going to be the fight of the night. Cowboy Cerrone. We love watching him fight. I'm sure a lot of people are going to be behind him to see him win. Same thing for Nico. Nico's a good guy as well. Fun guy to watch. I've never watched a bad Nico Price fights. He always pushes forward and he's always looking for the finish. And I'm sure that's going to just make it such a compelling fight. So this one, guys, this is going to be fight of the night. But Nick, we need a prediction.
No, like I said, I think it's going to be Cerrone. I think, like I said, I know that Price is not. I don't want to write off Price like he's just going to be, this like sort of a stepping stone to Cerrone's retirement. I don't want to do that because, like I've said in the last show, I mean, this game is 50-50. It doesn't matter who you are. There's two people in there, and any given Sunday, I guess you could say, like it's always or Saturday in this promotion, But yeah, I think Cerrone wins, and like I said, if he wins and he retires, fantastic. If not, he's gonna keep going because clearly I don't think losses affect him. I don't think that he's one of these guys that when he loses, he gets emotionally drained or that he doesn't want to rush into things. Like you said, if you got it and you can still keep going and you can get paid, why not? Especially with a second baby girl.
Yeah, gotta make that money. I'm gonna go with Nico Price in this fight because I just feel Nico is the younger, fresher, bigger guy too. I don't think Donald Cerrone is a welterweight. He's just a little too small for that. He says he walks around about 185 pounds, which is not too big of a cut for him at all. No, not 185 pounds. He walks around about 178 pounds, which only an 8-pound cut. And Nico Price is just such a big guy. He's very powerful. And Cerrone's definitely been dealing with a lot of these powerful guys. And he dealt with a Mcgregor who is powerful, but he's not a welterweight. He hits hard, yes, but hits hard for a lightweight. So the fact that he took that shot from McGregor and how he went down, I don't see him ascending from there. I feel like a lot of him is descending. It's going to hurt me to see. I don't want to see it, but I'm going to have to ride it. I'm not going to go emotional on this decision. I'm going to pick Nico Price. Got to go with Nico Price. But fight of the night, for sure.
Set your emotions aside for the rest of this.
Now that I said my emotions aside. Oh, one quick thing. Donald Cerrone is sparring for the first time in about 10 fights. He stopped sparring when he left Greg Jackson's gym, and now he's sparring again. So that's going to be very interesting to see because now he's taking shots before fights. Before he wasn't taking anything, and it was just going straight into the fight without getting hit, which is a little weird for reaction time and how you take those shots. So that's going to be very interesting to see. Before this fight, we got the man. He's back. Khamzat Chimaev is taking on Gerald Meerschaert in the middleweight division. Khamzat fights in both weight classes, and he already has a fight scheduled in October against Damian Maia that the UFC has given him. And Gerald Meerschaert is just like, you know what? No, he's not going to come in this fight and be ready for that fight. I'm going to make sure he takes damage, and he will be unable to fight Damian Maia in October.
Yeah, so I have to, especially with COVID going on, I keep saying Hazmat, but it's not that. I have to really take the time and pronounce his name. It's Khamzat. So before I get confused again because I keep calling him Hazmat.
I'm calling Khamzat, I say Khamzat sometimes. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly, man. It's hard to keep up. No, but it's true. Like you could tell that Gerald is definitely bothered by this because essentially by giving Khamzat the 2 fights already, you're basically saying that Meerschaert is a write-off. Like you know that he's gonna lose this fight and that this guy's gonna continue. I mean, because at the same time, can you really blame Dana White or UFC for having that mentality? Yes. Is it wrong that they have it? Yes. But stereotypes and assumptions are out there for a reason, and it's because this guy Khamzat has just absolutely dominated his first two fighters in his UFC career. I mean, to the point where it's like, just stop already. The guy's dead, So I can see why they gave him those 2 fights, but it's true. I if I was Gerald, I would be upset as well. I'd be like, wow, dude, like that's how you feel about me. I know that I'm seasoned, but that doesn't mean that, this guy's just going to roll through me, even though it might seem like he is given his last 2 fights. But I mean, come on.
I love Gerald Meerschaert's mentality going to this fight, that you're not going to just run over me, but Khamzat is going to run over him. I don't see this going too well for Gerald. Gerald is very good off of his back. Khamzat. Gerald's very good off of his back, but he's very good at being controlled from the top, and Khamzat is literally a professional at doing that in his style that he has, taking people down. I don't see this going very well for Gerald. I think it's going to be... You okay? Can't hear me? Uh-oh. Technical difficulties. Oh, I think we're good.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
All right. Yeah, I was going to say, I was losing you for a little bit. So what were you saying before?
Oh, okay. So Meerschaert has a good style being off of his back, but he's definitely gets dominated from the top a lot by other guys. Khamzat is not the biggest middleweight, but he's very powerful. No matter if he's fighting in welterweight or middleweight, he's just very dominant from the top, and he doesn't take damage. He's only been hit twice in his past 2 fights. I remember you bringing up that stat. 2 times in 2 fights. So I don't see Gerald hitting him. I think he's going to get dominated. I don't think it's going to be close, and I think Khamzat is going to go straight into that Damian Maia fight, and then we're going to see him against somebody who is well-skilled and well-versed in grappling, and I'm looking forward to that fight more than this one, but I'm just looking forward to seeing how Khamzat looks against somebody who's as skilled as Gerald Meerschaert.
Yeah, I think it's going to be nice to actually get somebody seasoned against him, but nonetheless, like you said, just because of his dominance in the last 2 fights, and not only that, but the momentum he's got going behind him and the confidence that he conveys, I think that he's just going to absolutely dominate Gerald as well, and definitely going to make his way to Maia. I mean, I think Maia would be the more entertaining fight, but dare I say, even as early as it is, perhaps he dominates Maia too, because the way that this guy fights, like really, who's going to take him down? That's not, in that top 5, and even the top 5 is questionable.
100%. But I can't wait I think he's going to make it to the Damian Maia for sure, pretty easily. And man, that's going to be such a good grappler versus grappler right there. Unless Khamzat decides to just like stand and strike with Maia, but Maia is going to want to take him down too. But Damian Maia actually has his top 3 of most takedowns in UFC history, and he's not even a wrestler, which is awesome. It shows you how well versed his skills are. I'm definitely looking forward to that fight more than this one, but this is going to be. I feel like this is going to be the Khamzat show here. When everybody's watching this card. Wait to see how dominant this guy from Dagestan is. Part 3 in the last, month and a half, which is absolutely up there. Exactly. But a fight that I'm looking forward to a lot in the women's strawweight division is Mackenzie Dern taking on Randa Markos. Mackenzie Dern is a BJJ expert. She's a how many time Abu Dhabi champion. really good on the ground, and Randa Markos is another girl who's really good on the ground as well. But the difference here is Mackenzie Dern has turned it up on the striking for sure. She is now training with Jason Perillo at in California. Same coach, same guy who coached Michael Bisping, same guy who coaches Chito Vera, same guy who's now coaching Luke Rockhold. And he is a guy that anytime somebody goes to him, he just changes the way that you strike and makes you such a smarter MMA fighter. And I'm excited to see how Mackenzie Dern is going to look against somebody who's experienced as Randa Markos, who's fought the Claudia Gadellas, who's fought the Carla Esparzas, who fought the Angela Hill, like a lot of these girls in that division that are now in that top 6. So it's going to be very interesting to see how Mackenzie Dern looks against her.
Yeah, I think she's going to continue. Well, one thing they have in common is that they both fought and lost to Amanda Ribas, which we last saw against Paige Van Zandt. Yeah. And that's another one that we have to look out for. But going back to these two girls, obviously Mackenzie Dern with an 8-1 record, she shows a lot of promise and beyond promise. So, and now that more so that she's working more on her punches and everything, I think that this is going to be something where, who knows, I don't want to completely disregard Markos, but I just feel that Mackenzie's got a lot of momentum behind her, and that she's one of these fighters who's willing to sort of speak, get out of her comfort zone, not always rely on her strengths, but try something new. And that's why she's been so successful thus far. And I think that's exactly what's going to happen with this fight as well. So as far as predictions, I mean, you already heard it. I'm picking Mackenzie Dern. I want to hear some of that Portuguese accent that she's been working on, which I still haven't checked out that video, but I remember you telling me that, like, I thought she was straight up Brazilian. I thought that she was, when she was speaking Portuguese, I was like, oh, okay, she's from Brazil. But I was like, but it says United States. And then, I supposedly there's been like an evolution of her accent, which whatever, if you're that proud of your roots, if that's one way you want to show your pride, then by all means.
Listen, like a Pokemon, that accent has evolved. I will send you that video after this so you can see exactly how it sounds. She is she definitely puts in the work, and you can see that. She was having a lot of weight cut issues before. She wasn't really like dedicated to MMA. She was making her way into it, and she was like missing. She missed one time. She missed weight by 7 pounds, which was crazy. But then after that, she came right back, and she made 115 pounds pretty easy. And I've been looking at the videos of her training, and she already looks small. So I think she's very focused for this fight. I think this is going to show you a lot of what she's been working on, and this is only going to propel her higher in that weight class. And I see her as a future champion, and I want to see her fight Amanda Ribas one more time because I feel that she's getting better now, and Ribas fought her when she was in that very young stage of her career. So I'm still picking. I'm going to pick Mackenzie Dern in this fight. She's going to show her striking, and I think she's going to knock out Randa Markos in the first round because she presses forward. She likes to go for the finish. I think she finishes her first round knockout or submission because she's got the submissions in her. So that's going to be a really good fight.
She's a pretty dynamic fighter, so it could go either way. First round, that's a ballsy call, but I mean,
and Randa Markos is not one to get finished that fast, but man, Mackenzie Dern pushes really, really hard for finishes in that first round, and I think she'll finish her I think that'll happen.
Yeah.
For sure. All right. So you guys, you got to watch that card on Saturday. It's amazing from top to bottom. There's a lot of prelim fights on that card.
Really Johnny Walker. I'm surprised that this is free, to be honest.
Yeah, this is free, which is crazy. Johnny Walker is also on that card fighting Ryan Spann. We got what's my man's name? I'm forgetting his name. It's killing me right now. I'm not remembering it. Anyways, it's a really stacked card. You guys have got to watch it. But besides that, we got some news, of course. The Dustin Poirier fight and Tony Ferguson is officially off. We actually found this news out as soon as we ended the broadcast last week, which was crazy because we were talking about how excited we were for this fight. And the UFC and Dustin Poirier could not come to an agreement on the contract and for the money for this fight. So Dustin Poirier is now out of the fight. Nick, what do you think about this?
First off, I'm curious as to what breaking news is going to come out after this because it seems that every time we do one of these things, the breaking news always happens when we finish, of course. But I don't know. I guess like maybe they couldn't come to an agreement. I know Tony Ferguson was sort of reaching out to Dana and UFC publicly, like putting it out there. Get Poirier his money. Like let's make this fight happen. It's a fight that obviously everybody would love to see. I absolutely would love to see it. But unfortunately, money sometimes has a funny way of getting in between things and now allowing them to happen. But I mean, I hope it happens, but if it doesn't happen, there's other options out there too, you know. And
which
what the main option that
we're going to talk about shortly.
yeah, exactly. And you know, I wouldn't be upset with that option either. But I mean, obviously, what we really all want to see is Poirier versus Ferguson. I think somehow it happens. But what another thing too is that you don't want to have a situation where I suppose like I think Dana White perhaps wasn't necessarily too content with Jorge Masvidal having to give him his new deal in the way that he did. Being rushed, being pressured because you need to find a fighter. And so I think that's another situation. Like after that moment, I think he's just like, you know what, I don't want to be too emotional. I don't want to be too erratic with my decision making when it comes to my business. As much as obviously we would love to see it happen, if it's going to affect the UFC's business, they have no problem looking the other way or finding somebody else.
Yeah, I don't blame Dustin Poirier for this because he's been in so many wars. And you're going to tell me, hey, Dustin, you're going to fight Tony Ferguson, and you're not going to give Justin, you're not going to give Dustin enough money to go through another war like that. I know it's going to be 3 rounds, but any 3 rounds with Tony Ferguson. Have you seen his last opponents? There's literally a picture, if you want to Google it. Tony Ferguson's last 5 opponents, their faces are beat up no matter if he won or lost, which he won majority of the fights. But still, you fight a guy like Tony Ferguson, you're going to get hurt. Dustin Poirier only made $150,000 to show and $150,000 to win in his last fight, which is crazy because it was a main event of a card, and he's only fought in main events his past couple fights. How is that man not getting paid the right amount of money? I don't blame him. It's a good move on his part. There's no way he's going to move down in rankings, and there's no way he's not going to end up getting that money. Dana White said, Dustin Poirier negotiated himself out of that fight. Cool. Way to say that out loud, Dana White, to make the fighters like kind of like, I feel like it's almost a leverage kind of thing to where, okay, he said out loud, no, I want to take the fight. I don't want to look like a bitch or something like that. No.
Right, yeah, or I don't want to look selfish or greedy. But like you said, like you're not being greedy, dude. Like if you're going to get your face beat the shit out of by a guy like Tony Ferguson, you might as well make your time worth it, And like you said, this is a guy that people actually, he's no McGregor, he's no Masvidal, but people still tune in to watch this guy fight. So, I mean, I think I really hate it when dirty laundry gets out there. I really do. I wish they could have kept that to themselves.
It's such a business. He does it on purpose.
It's true. Yeah. It's like it's a business tactic and everything. I don't think. I mean, if Dustin decides to sit this one out, I'm not going to be mad at him. Because, dude, like, honestly, to fight somebody like Tony Ferguson and having fought the wars that you have, I mean, there's really no need for you to rush in or give in either. Because, obviously, if anybody deserves a big payday, it's him.
Yeah, you got to stand up for yourself and make sure you're getting paid the good amount of money. And you've been fighting for the UFC for a long time. I hope Dustin Poirier gets that money, and I hope that he gets somebody really good to fight after that. And he doesn't have to fight for the rest of the year. He's fought so many times in the past year, to be honest. So there's no rush for him to fight and no rush for him to get in a war like that as well, because he was just in a war with Dan Hooker about a month and a half ago, which was a crazy fight. And this fight's going to be crazy with on the card with Khabib versus Gaethje. You're going to tell me that pay-per-view card is not going to make enough money to pay Dustin Poirier?
Yeah, exactly.
That's absolutely absurd.
Too, being on the same exact, and you also got to think about this. We just saw what happened with Gilbert Burns with his late test results.
Yeah.
Right?
That's another risk.
What's gonna happen when, all right, like, let's, God forbid, let's say that Khabib or Justin can't make this fight because of a positive COVID test. Who's gonna be your main event? Do you really want Ferguson against some scrub or not Ferguson at all? Or do you want to give the fight that people are still gonna pay and people still are gonna tune in for, which is obviously Dustin Poirier versus Tony Ferguson? So I think that he's actually gonna lose more money by letting him pass rather than just giving him the money that he's demanding.
Absolutely. But if this fight doesn't happen, there's another good one in the horizon. And we're hearing that Michael Chandler might be stepping in. Michael Chandler, who we've been talking about, I feel like forever on this podcast, it might be closing in on that deal with the UFC. Dana White said they offered an opponent to Tony Ferguson already, and it's looking like it's going to be Michael Chandler. Some rumblings that I've heard from some people, friends, other MMA fans, have said they're not too excited for that fight. How is Michael Chandler getting a guy like Tony Ferguson as his first fight?
Excited.
What? I am beyond excited. You know how long I've been waiting for Michael Chandler to fight people in the UFC, and you're going to tell me his first fight is Tony Ferguson? I am ecstatic. Michael Chandler has fought champions who have come from the UFC in Bellator, so you cannot tell me he does not deserve this fight, and you cannot tell me you don't want to watch this fight because He's been in wars. He's not an easy guy to finish. Tony Ferguson's not an easy guy to finish. They're going to go at each other's neck. And Michael Chandler is going to want to make that great first impression in his UFC debut. And that could propel him right into a title shot right after that. So I would love to see that fight. And I hope it happens. I hope he's signing with the UFC. Hope they announce this sometime this week. We don't know yet. But as you can see in my face and hear my voice, I am ecstatic.
Yeah, and as far as all the gas bagging that I was just doing and making a case for Dustin Poirier, I truly do mean that. But now that we're talking about Michael Chandler, I just want to say, if it doesn't happen, I wouldn't be upset with this consolation prize, because they finally get Michael Chandler in the UFC. That would be, pardon my language, fucking incredible. Because especially against somebody like Tony Ferguson. I mean, and you said, imagine that he beats Tony Ferguson. He's possibly going to get a title fight right after that. Maybe not, because it's not kosher, but like, look, you just have one fight in this promotion. You need to fight some more. But I mean, why not? Tony Ferguson was actually supposed to be fighting Khabib, right? Until Justin beat the shit out of him. And then, but let's say that Ferguson beat him, right? Or let's say that fight never happened. You're looking at the top contender, or what would have been the top contender, right? If you beat him as coming into to a new promotion as Michael Chandler, why wouldn't you get a title fight after that? As unkosher as it is, or unorthodox, whatever you want to call it, But yeah, I mean, this is fantastic. And in a way, like I said, I would love to see Dustin Poirier versus Ferguson. But fuck, if this happens, I ain't gonna be mad.
I'm not mad at all. And a question that a lot of people had: is there nothing to gain for Tony Ferguson? There's plenty to gain, in my opinion. Another fight, not taking that much time off, because I feel like him having so much time off affected his fight against Justin Gaethje. Tony Ferguson is a very active fighter. He fights 3-4 times a year. He's not a guy one to get. I mean, he's gotten injured only when he fights Khabib. Somehow that fight is just not meant to happen ever in our lifetimes. But besides that, Ferguson is a very active guy. Why not be active against a guy like Michael Chandler? Everybody's going to want to watch that fight. And Tony Ferguson is not somebody to turn down a fight. And any victory is a gain for somebody. And I feel like he's going to get a lot of credit for this fight. And that can propel him once again into a title shot, because he's right there in the mix. It's a lightweight division. I want to see everybody fight everybody in that division, because that is the most exciting division in the UFC. So I think Tony Ferguson does have something to gain from that fight.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. You beat a champion, be it another promotion, but you beat a multiple champion like Chandler. I mean, of course, that's gonna only propel your game, right?
Yep.
But I just don't get that concept that people are like, I don't know, like. I don't want to see Chandler get Ferguson right away. It's like, excuse me, why wouldn't you? Like, what better entrance to the UFC than Tony Ferguson, right? Okay, maybe Justin Gaethje, maybe Khabib, but obviously those guys are going to fight for the title now. McGregor's not going to be fighting this year without a crowd, and so who better next than Tony Ferguson? And then not only that, but think about it this way. If Chandler comes in and he loses to Tony Ferguson, you gotta give him the pass. Like, okay, yeah, you know what? It's Tony Ferguson. It's a new league. But if he comes into the UFC and he beats somebody of the likes of Tony Ferguson, I mean, that just goes to show that that whole argument about Bellator, UFC, whatever, it being a diluted promotion compared to UFC, all that is out the window. You could just eradicate that thought, because I mean, Tony F. Ferguson, what a statement that would be for Chandler. I hope it happens. I mean, like I said, I would be happy as a pig in shit with Poirier and Ferguson, but I mean, this is really a sweet consolation. So
absolutely, and I hope the UFC announces that tomorrow or Friday or on this card on Saturday. We'll love to see it. Would be super ecstatic for that. Nobody should be sad about amazing explosive fights like that, especially with a guy like Michael Chandler. And if you've never seen Michael Chandler fight, just go on YouTube, type in Michael Chandler, and there's plenty of fights on there. But speaking of the lightweight division, guess who's YouTube, baby? Guess who is back in the news? What are the odds? Conor McGregor was cited and arrested. I know, was cited and arrested for sexual assault in France. He's been on a vacation for like a really long time. We've seen him on a boat on the beach with his fiance now. Then all of a sudden we see that he's now in trouble for sexual assault. What is he doing? It's not surprising to me, but I feel that Conor McGregor needs to understand how big his name is. Anything that he does will be reported. Conor McGregor eating sushi. Conor McGregor walking on the beach. Conor McGregor, writing with a pen. Every single move that he does now is going to be documented and will be out there no matter if he's guilty or not guilty. He's got to be careful.
I mean, I think it's almost, say, masochist of him to. I feel like this might be one of those things where there's no such thing as bad publicity for him, and I think he needs to really you said, wake up, dude. Like, you are a massive name in the game. You are a LeBron James. You are a Cristiano Ronaldo. You're always going to be in the limelight whether you like it or not, right? And obviously he loves it. But if you're but because of it, you have to acknowledge that, and you have to really be aware of your surroundings and be aware of your actions too. Because these are allegations. But I mean, it just even if it's true or not, it's still a bad look, right? So
yep.
I don't know what it is, dude, that you're getting into or where you're going, but keep an eye out. Be very aware of who you surround yourself with, and do yourself a favor. Hang out with your kid. Hang out with your fiance. Get married. Stay in your home like everybody else this year. And just stay out of trouble. These are not great allegations, Like, I wish it was the tabloids that oh, McGregor looking a little pudgy on holiday or whatever. Like, that's the type of news, the bad news that I'd like to see him in. But allegations of sexual assault, that's not a good look, especially after you've had the look of obviously the incident that happened in New York with the buses and the chaos that ensued there, punching an older man in a bar because he didn't want to drink your proper 12. I mean, come on, man.
It's ridiculous. And he has to understand how big his name is, and he's going to be watched at all times. We just want to see you fight, Conor, and talk. I mean, do your talking and everything, but I hope we see him back in the cage. I hope he stays in less trouble. I don't want to see something like Mike Tyson happen to him, to where at a young age, everything just goes downhill because of the money thing. Too much money, you don't know what to do with yourself. You are in my prayer, Conor McGregor. You are in my prayers. I know you say Conor bless all the time, but Darnell bless this time, and I hope that you stay out of this trouble and we get to see you fight next year when there's an audience. Bellator is actually putting on an event in France October 13th, and they're allowing 5,000 fans there. So I think the ball is going to start getting rolling with fans coming in. So
definitely.
Hopefully by that time period, we'll get bigger fights. We'll get people there. We'll get crowds back in action, and we'll see what happens. But that is time for today, guys. We appreciate you joining us on this new platform. I know we're on YouTube. Hit that button, that subscribe button, so you can get a reminder of every single time we're going to be on. I always set a reminder so you guys can see. As usual, this will be on iTunes, Spotify, all streaming platforms that we can provide. This is now on Facebook as well, YouTube. It is everywhere. I'm going to put it on my Instagram right after this so you all can watch for your viewing pleasure. There's an amazing card on Saturday, guys. Don't miss it. Nick, appreciate you as always. We appreciate you guys, and we are out.
Go Heat.
Lakers.